Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Community Healthcare Resources, Life Chiropractic College West, TrackStat, and M-Sculpt. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 438 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Casey Berry. And if you want to hear about his story of how truth is his best marketing tool, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. We have Casey Berry today, coming in from Overland, Kansas, and I'm coming in from beautiful Grand Junction, Colorado. This is episode 438. I always kind of have to pinch myself that we've actually done that many productions, producing content to support the beautiful profession of chiropractic. Sometimes it's I have so much like belief, but then I'm like, wow, that's a long time. And we've been doing this show for 5 years now. So thank you everybody out there that's supported us on this mission and our vision, and comment, likes, and shares and subscribes to what we do. As you know, if you listen to our show, I always let you guys know why we do what we do before we jump into the story of the chiropractor. And first things first, we protect freedom of speech. I think that's so important, as you guys have seen what's happened over the past couple of years with the, the censorships and things of that nature, where people get, shadow banned. So we do this for the profession of chiropractic, so that doesn't happen. Second, we protect the sacred trust. If you guys don't know what that is, go to your favorite search engine and search for BJ Palmer Sacred Trust. You're going to learn a whole lot more about chiropractic than what you originally knew. We also protect subluxation-based chiropractors. We believe in universal intelligence and innate intelligence, that when man or woman, the physical, get adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. And if you guys don't know what any of that means, go to your favorite search engine and look up those big words and those big concepts. And with that being said, Dr. Casey Berry, welcome to the show.
Hey man, how are you doing?
As we had our pre-interview chat, I'm on fire, dude. Let's go.
Yeah. Get chiropractic on fire too.
Yeah, and I got this shirt while I was down there. It says Principled DE Chiropractor. Maybe you can share with the world what Dynamic Essentials is before we jump into your story and why that group really matters.
All right, so Dynamic Essentials was created by Sid Williams, who started Life University now down in Atlanta, and it was to keep chiropractic profession sacred, follow the teachings of BJ Palmer, and making sure that chiropractors are following the subluxation, letting innate intelligence go through us and heal us, and let our bodies be dictated by the innate intelligence rather than by medication and all that. And also, he put Dynamic Essentials together to get us all to band together to keep chiropractic in the mainstream, and get it higher and bigger than it has been in the past, so the chiropractic profession can keep serving the communities that we live in.
Well, I was down there with the Dynamic Essentials for my first time. There's a doc named Brian Moriarty who invited me back in 2017, and I just haven't had a chance to make it down there. So it was divine timing, and everybody took me with open arms. It was really an amazing weekend, and I'm thankful for all the speakers and everybody that attended. And it was really cool that I got a chance to meet you. And
yeah, it was awesome. And Brian Moriarty is one of the guys. When I went, I was struggling in practice, and he took me in open arms almost 5 years ago and helped me turn my practice and life around. So that place is awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing is we all need a little bit of support. We all need a few attaboys. And I always tell people we always like acknowledgement. We like people to see us, listen to us, and give us praise. And I think that that's what that group really does for each other.
Absolutely.
And your story was really compelling. I saw you speak from stage, and you talked about being a pitcher and high aspirations, and then you became a chiropractor.
Yeah.
So just let's kind of maybe tell that in a snapshot. And I know that your friends, your family, your colleagues, your patients, their friends, their families, they're all going to listen to this, and maybe they do know you, but maybe they didn't really know the real story behind how you became a chiropractor. So let's lead into that story and maybe share with us a little bit about your chiropractic world.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I grew up on a farm down in Warrensburg, Missouri. It's about an hour from Kansas City. And I didn't want to be a farmer for the rest of my life. So my dad and I had a conversation, and one of the things he told me was I better get good at something if I wanted to get into college or whatever like that. So baseball became my niche at the time. And like most kids that play baseball, if they get a few years under their belt and they're loving it, the next step they want to do is be a professional athlete. There's a lot more to that than anybody thinks. Being the best kid in a small town in the middle of Missouri is not going to put you on the big league mound, but hard work and drive. It got me to college. And while I was in college, my plan B was to be a medical doctor, an orthopedic surgeon. But I think it was my sophomore year in college, I hurt my back. A baseball felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. So my coach sent me to this chiropractor, and he started talking to me just because of my signature that I wrote on his entrance exam. He's like, well, what are you going to be after college? I said, well, I'm going to be a medical doctor. And he's, no, you're not. And he said, you're going to be a chiropractor. And my thought process was, because I'd been to a chiropractor when I was a kid, I was like, who the hell wants to push on somebody's back for 40 years and then retire? That doesn't sound like any fun to me. But I didn't understand what chiropractic was. I thought it was all about pain. So he talked to me, and we went through some stuff, and he was adjusting this little girl that had severe allergies. And the first day I was there was actually her first day in the clinic, and he was adjusting her. And after 6-8 weeks, all those tests, she kept having to have those allergy tests, scratch tests, or whatever they are. And all of a sudden they were gone. Like, the only thing that changed, she did different. She wasn't taking the allergy medication. Her mom listened to what he said. He just kept adjusting her, and all of a sudden the allergies went away. And so that was kind of what got me down the path of, well, maybe I don't want to be an orthopedic surgeon. Maybe there's more to it than just focusing on, say, shoulders every single day for 40 years, because that could get monotonous and boring. And so when I hurt my shoulder, baseball career was over. I went back to school, finished my degree, and then I didn't know there was a lot of schools out there because I didn't really look into it. I was kind of that guy that flew by the seat of my pants. Still am to an extent with certain things, but with school, it was just kind of like, just give me a degree and I'll go do whatever I'm supposed to do. And I went to Cleveland here in Kansas City, and then graduated almost 16, well, it'll be 16 years this December, and started taking care of everybody and got into the profession that way on a whim. Really, there was no special thing. You hear a lot of things at DE. Oh, I got into chiropractic because I couldn't walk and I got fixed, and now I'm a DE chiropractor and I'm crushing it, right? I don't have anything special other than I hurt my back and a guy liked my signature. So that's how I got doing this. And the interest of it was that, how does a person adjust someone's spine and the allergies go away? If you tell somebody that without explaining innate intelligence and how the nervous system functions, they look at you and go, oh, so you're one of those chiropractors that can cure everything. Well, I get it. I get why people look at it that way, but we don't cure anything. We don't treat anything. We literally move the bone, and God does the healing and lets the innate intelligence rule everything like it's supposed to. So that's my story getting into chiropractic.
Yeah.
Farm kid to baseball player to chiropractor.
Couple things I'm just going to tie together for us is I was at an event 2 weekends ago in Castle Rock, Colorado, and this guy comes up and he's like, so are you one of those like chiropractic clinics that says they can cure everything? I go, to be honest with you, we can't even cure a ham.
That's good. Yeah, exactly.
And the little girl's story, A lot of people don't know chiropractic philosophy, so this is like 101. And it's the power that made the body heals the body. The body needs nothing extra in it. It simply needs no interference. Once the subluxation in the spine is detected, corrected, and cleared, the body has the universal intelligence, which actually heals. It's like when you cut your finger and it has a cut on there, a paper cut, or with a knife, you don't have to look at your finger and tell it to heal. It heals because innate intelligence tells your body to heal. And it's not whether you believe in it or not, it's just the law of life. So when you take the pressure off of a nerve, which has a spinal misalignment on it, it's going to help the body from inside out heal. And that's the power of chiropractic. And so many people can't articulate that. They don't know that. They don't know how to make that so easy to say that other people can be like, wow, that makes sense. And then the other part of it is like when you have a hose and you want to water a garden, it has a kink in it, and it only flows so much water to it, the water in the grass dies. If you take the kink out of the hose and you start watering the grass again or the garden, it gets the full flow of water coming to it and it thrives. Same way with our nervous system. And that's why chiropractic works. And it's pretty amazing. And then when a chiropractor gets, really good at finding those subluxations and correcting those subluxations, people think that they can be healed from everything, but actually the body does the healing.
Absolutely.
Next chapter. I'm really excited for this one because I know DE helped you tremendously grow your practice. So let's talk about some practice building techniques that people might be afraid of. I mean, marketing's tough, man.
Marketing is tough. It was brutal. I bet you I spent the first 10 years of my career 50 grand thinking I could do this newspaper ad or this Google ad or whatever. And nothing was really working. And I spent a lot of time in the fear area because you hear other doctors say, well, I show them an x-ray and I tell them they need 20 visits and they do it. I've been to a bunch of like focus and a bunch of seminars and I hear these doctors talking and it's like, how do you do that? But then I got into this bad habit of I want to speak like, say, Andy Harding or Tim Young or Steve Judson or Brian Lieberman or Moriarty. I learned at DE that you have to be yourself. And so when I came back from DE, all I did was start actually caring about people, more about the person rather than the money. And I would set them down, educate them on only chiropractic, the adjustment and clearing out the interference and allowing the body to take care of itself through innate, like you talked about. And when I was able to do that, people understood that pain wasn't the culprit of what was going on with them. They started to understand that the pain was the signal that was going off, letting them know something was wrong. So what I do for marketing is where my office is, where I live is Overland Park, Kansas, but my office is in Kansas City, Missouri, like the South End. And it's a little town. It's called Martin City. I went every place, old school style, handing out cards, introducing myself. I do a lunch talk every Tuesday at Steakhouse, right around the corner from my office. I do lunch talks at businesses, and I am pretty good. One of the things I forgot I was good at was not meeting strangers. So when I was a kid, my mom always said I never met a stranger. Well, I got into the point where I was like, no, I'm afraid to go do it. Well, now I'll just walk up to anybody. Hey, how you doing? And I'll just start talking to them about whatever it is that's going on with them, whether I see them limp or, hey, have you ever been to a chiropractor? And they're like, no. They look at you like you're crazy. And so I'll give them a little blurb. Did you know that if you remove the interference from your spine, your body will heal? And they go, what? That's chiropractic? Yeah. Why don't you come to the office and I'll do a free consultation. And then if you decide, we'll do an exam. We'll schedule an appointment, we'll do an exam and everything. And it's been crazy since I started doing that 6 months ago that 9 times out of 10, somebody at least comes to the office for a consultation. And about 60% of those end up turning into a patient at least one day. Sometimes people stay forever, but you got to meet people where they are. And some people don't want to meet anywhere, but get me out of pain and I'm going to go, which what are you going to do? You can't drag them back. You just got to be honest with them and love them and care for them. And so that's how I've kind of done my marketing stuff. I'm not the most creative with social media. And I think that is because I don't want to sit down and do it. I'd rather be out being active than sitting at a computer all day.
Yeah, you said something there, and there's an old saying that the quickest way to a man's heart's through his stomach. And it sounds like the quickest way to a new patient's through their stomach.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's crazy. The restaurant I go to, no one has. I wouldn't have heard about it other than being up here, but they have all these like they get their own marketing tools in the office. It's like Playboy magazine, top 10 steakhouse in the world. And it's been like 10 times in the last 15 years. Like, well, okay, you're in that magazine and you're rated the top 10. Perfect.
So next time I'm in Kansas City, I'm going there with you.
Absolutely. Yep. I take care of all the owners. And, one of the things with marketing I found, and I explained to a lot of the, if students come by the office or doctors that haven't been in and they're struggling, is your best marketing is the people you take care of, because they're going to send, if you do that person right, they're not only going to send in one, they're going to send in 10 or more of their friends. My first patient, Christy, she's been coming to me since my first day 16 years ago. And the regular patients that come in at least twice a month, if not more, from her are up to 45 people. So it's amazing when you take care of the people. They're your own marketing tool. And you're not spending anything. You're just taking care of them. And they send in everybody.
That's going to be your tagline for the show is truth is my best marketing tool.
Perfect.
So let's talk about you, the practitioner, and you. How do you stay healthy? Because I think that that's a really interesting part of our show too. Is a lot of people are like, well, they talk the talk, but what are they doing? How are they to keep taking care of themselves? So let's talk a little bit about how you're taking care of yourself.
So I talked about it on the stage at DE. I did that 75 hard. Andy Frisello that started Supplement Superstores. He came up with that a few years ago. It was to get himself better. And it's more, when people look at it, some people judge it because it's like a weight loss. It's not a weight loss. It's all about mental. But so I get up early in the morning. I work out, do cardio in the morning, and then I go to do weights at lunch or in the evening, depending on my day. And then I typically read. I don't read like just bullshit books. I'll read some self-help books. Things that are kind of motivating. I eat a pretty healthy diet, but then I pray a lot. For years, I wasn't really the most into God kind of guy, but a few years ago, some stuff was going down, and that's how I got through it. So morning prayer, nightly prayer, and then just, visualize and things like that, but positive thoughts. So all those things kind of keep me grounded and keep me healthy. And then with me being an ex-athlete, working out makes me feel the best because I can burn all that angst and be prepared. And by me getting up early in the morning, it's more for me to just prepare myself and get ready for lack of a better term, the grind of a day. But it's not really a grind because I don't feel like I go to work. I feel like I go, and a lot of my patients, even my wife, think it's my playground. So not a bad life when you go play.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. Number one chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Community Healthcare Resources, Life Chiropractic College West, TrackStat, and MSculpt. Let's hustle. Yeah, it's really cool. I think that you've dialed in some things there, and I think that a lot of times one of the things I really appreciated about the DE messaging was that God first, family second, business third. And I've been, everybody that I've come in touch with since I left there, I've told that too. Yeah. And I tell them you got to get right with God. Otherwise, the family's going to struggle, the business will struggle, and you gotta put yourself into sequence. And if you break sequence, you have to go back and do it over. And
I had a student, he was at last DE back in August, and he was shadowing me at the office, but he was on a break. And I mean, I get it. School is a grind, man. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. And he was telling me one day, oh, my wife's mad. I'm not at home. I'm at your office. I'm over at the clinic at the school. And then I'm doing all this other stuff, like learning all the philosophy you guys know. And I reached up and I grabbed like a patient pad, you write down, you can't work for 3 days or whatever. And so while he's talking and giving me his, talking to me about how just bad his life felt right now and how frustrated he was because his wife was mad because he's trying to get better, I wrote on the piece of paper, God, family, chiropractic, top to bottom. I handed it to him and I said, go home. And he goes, are you mad at me? I said, no. I said, but until you get your priorities in line, man, I said, you can't have a good practice without a good family. And you can't have a good family without God leading the way. I said, and God's going to be in your practice too. I said, so if you're having troubles with your wife and your kids because you're not around, you're not going to have a good practice. I said, because you're going to have that stress. So you might as well put God first because he's going to help the family. And then those two are going to help your clinic. I said, because then you leave in the house full of love and with less stress. I said, it's going to be better. I said, and then everything else falls around it. I said, but you got to have it in that order. So he went home that day and he's starting to get he texted me a couple of weeks ago and said, man, I'm glad I did that because the last month has been the best of my life.
That's cool, man. And everybody that watches me or like has any like glimpse of me as the leader of the show, you guys know that I did 75 hard twice last year, and I did phase 1 and phase 2. So I did over 250 days last year of 75 hard. So I will tell people it's not a weight loss journey at all.
No.
It's about preparing for life and doing more. And the thing is we all get the same 24 hours in a day. And whatever you prioritize, you can accomplish. And that's what that program taught me.
Absolutely. And I don't sleep much. I'm not a go to bed early, get up late kind of guy. I've never been that way, but it's all the mental aspect, and it just prepares you for everything you're going to have to deal with in life, I think. And that's what I kind of got out of it, because it sounds brutal, but it's really not. It's kind of like you said, it depends on what you want to do and how well you want your life to be is what you're going to put into it, and figure out your 24 hours and keep rolling.
Our lives will never be the same because of our commitment. And I want to recognize you for that too, because it takes an extraordinary person to not lie to themselves for 75 straight days.
Yeah, exactly. That was the hard thing. And it was a lot to go, oh man, my legs are dead. Nope, get up and go. I don't know how many times I called myself a bitch, and then I'd get out of bed at 4:30.
So the thing that really matters to me in these conversations is to kind of let people know what's going on in chiropractic. And I'm really curious. I ask people this all the time. Where is the profession headed? What do you see happening? It could be 5 years from now. It could be 10 years from now. It could be 20 years from now. What do you see happening for the profession? And does it excite you, or do you feel worried by it?
It makes me nervous. And I think the biggest nerve-wracking thing is what people think is medical doctors hate us, physical therapists hate us. But honestly, I mean, maybe, back in the day when Sid Williams was fighting and Dee Umber and all those guys in the 80s, well, all the way from the beginning up until the Wilkes versus the AMA trial. But from what I've seen, it's an internal struggle. I'm a principled guy. I used to have the physical therapy modalities in my office, and there was an emptiness inside because I felt like I was dealing with everybody's pain cycle, and I wanted to quit. Once I went to DE and I realized that being a straight chiropractor, that's what it was called when I was in school. I never even heard of the principled chiropractor. I didn't even heard of the 33 principles when I was in chiropractic school. It was a problem. So like the internal struggles between the both different sides of chiropractic mixers and straight principled chiropractors, I think that's the biggest problem, is because there's two different philosophies, and that's where I see the mixers of it's a problem with the mixing side. Is do your therapies if you want to do your therapies, do whatever you want to do, but don't discount the subluxation, don't discount the innate intelligence, because how the hell do you throw out how the profession began and all the research, but not necessarily the research, but every day, every patient's a research study when you're seeing their lives change before your hands, literally adjusting them, seeing it move. So the struggle's there. I don't know, if 5 years, 10 years, if things don't change, am I going to be able to adjust people, or am I going to have to go back to school and write somebody a damn prescription for Vicodin or something like that? I know if it comes to that and we don't get to adjust people, I'm not being a chiropractor that way, because chiropractic has to stay over here, and then Western medicine or whatever, it needs to stay on its side. And I think the biggest thing, if chiropractors, we could stay in our lane, physical therapists can stay in our lane, medical doctors, DOs can stay in their lane. If we could all just stay in our lanes and quit trying to crisscross what we know, I think not only would our profession benefit, but more importantly, the people, our communities, would benefit so much more if we could stop bickering and arguing like a bunch of little playground kids. It's just stupid. Like, subluxation's there. It's been proven. We've seen it 127 years. It's obviously something there. But if you want to go do your physical therapy, then go do it. But don't discount that the subluxation is there. And I think that's where we need to go with it.
My hard line is if you want to go do something else besides chiropractic, go do that, but don't manipulate chiropractic from the inside out.
Exactly. And it's like the whole don't take x-rays unless there's something wrong. Well, how do I know something's wrong? There could be a pressure in the neck that could be a cancerous lesion, and I go adjust it and snap that atlas that's been eaten up by cancer. Then what? The patient's either a vegetable state or dead. So quit taking shit out and just let us do our job the way we were taught to do it,
Yeah, that's the frustrating fact too, is, I kind of tell people, it's like, all right, so you want to take x-ray out of chiropractic. Why don't we take x-ray just out of every healthcare then? Why don't we just remove x-rays as a total?
Yep.
And people are like, no, that sounds stupid. I'm like, exactly.
Yeah.
Why would you ever take x-ray away from your dentist? Would that be cool? No, it sounds just as asinine as trying to remove x-ray from chiropractic. Cool. Okay. Next topic. Like,
exactly.
If we don't agree across the board, then let's not just like eliminate that from one profession that utilizes it to analyze and detect and to correct vertebral subluxation. So I think that's case closed now. So
yeah.
Open and closed. Thanks guys for listening on that topic. But it's crazy town. It's crazy talk to say, let's take x-ray out of a chiropractor's hands. Like, no, like,
right.
Bad idea. Go away. Next topic. Thanks. Sorry guys, that's unpopular, and it will continuously be unpopular. And if people want to remove the lexicon of innate intelligence, universal intelligence, subluxation, or x-ray, highly unpopular with the chiropractor. So let's support people that actually take care of people. How about that? I was having a conversation before we jumped on with a guy that knows nothing about chiropractic. He does automation and leads and stuff like that. And I was telling him about like the insurance around chiropractic, and the insurance companies actually got chiropractors hoodwinked into telling people that they manipulate spines when they don't. And they get reimbursement for manipulations of certain segments, intersegmental dysfunctions. I'm like, that's their way of like discrediting and attacking chiropractic silently. And then what they do is they deny claims, and they tell you that you're not getting paid. And there's so much middle ground that's all junked up with, trying to perform services for people that tell you that you're not valuable. And that they basically manipulate the language by the insurance companies to tell people that chiropractors are manipulators, and they're not.
Nope.
So I even made that clear to him. And he's like, wow, I never knew that. And that's why this show matters, is because we talk about stuff like this that a lot of people have no idea the depth of the distrust that was built inside of the medical system to attack chiropractic, to remove the things that we stand for, which we just keep on doing principle-based chiropractic.
That's right, brother.
And we'll just keep winning. And they can have their own parties, and they can be manipulators and deniers and whatever they want, but don't call yourself a chiropractor.
Exactly.
So I know we have a couple minutes left of our journey today on this episode 438 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I mean, I'm curious though. You mentioned some big names earlier on that you couldn't speak like them, but you're just going to tell your own story. So maybe you could share with us some of the people that have come into your life that you'd consider heroes or that have inspired you to become the man you are today.
So it started with Andy Harding. He's here in Kansas City with me. I was connected with him when I was going to quit in 2017, and I was just going to go be a construction worker. I knew how to do that. And Andy drugged me along and helped me out get to DE. And then I would say the best people in my life that I would do anything for, and I can definitely honestly say that without them, I wouldn't be where I am, whether it's in my practice, in the life with my daughter, or have my wife and my two stepdaughters, excuse me. It would be Harding, Steve Jetson, Brian Lieberman, Brian Moriarty. Dana Becher he's part of DE. He wasn't there this weekend, but I love that guy more than I could probably even tell anyone. And he helped me so much, and he continues to help. And it's just, you can't put them in order, but I know that those are some of the most important people to my life. And I'm sure I left some people out from DE, but, I wish outside of that realm, my dad, he was always one that kept me on the path of shooting higher in life and not giving in and not giving up. So if I could, my dad passed away 15 years ago, but if he could be here, I'd just throw him in the group and we'd all go out and hang out and watch a ball game and do whatever we wanted to do. But as far as the guys from DE that I mentioned, Paula Hedgelon, and she's one from DE. People just, I don't know. I can't even explain how impactful they were and still are in my life every day.
Well, it's very honest, man. And that's what I love about this show is it gives safe space for chiropractors to tell their stories and to really recognize why the hell they do what they do and who they are and what this profession means to them. And I think we do a really good job of producing this and to share this big idea
Absolutely.
and to get it out to more people. And let's close people out today. I know we're a little bit over time, but I know that you have at least one miracle story that you can share with us that you've seen over your 16 years of practice that might touch the lives of other people to say, maybe chiropractic's right for me too.
Yeah, when I read this on the thing you sent me, I knew exactly what I was going to talk about. So, girl I graduated high school with, I've known her since I was 9. So, a few years ago, I think we were like maybe 38 or 39. I see a video of her on Facebook from her husband's Facebook page of putting a brace on her foot because she had multiple sclerosis, and it was just debilitating her. So I reached out, sent her husband a message. I didn't even know him. And I said, hey man, I went to school with her and I think I can help her out and chiropractic can help her. Why don't you bring her to my office? So she came in, and I am not a crying kind of person. I'm not overly sentimental when it comes to stuff, but she walked in on a walker. We weren't even 40 yet, and she's on a walker, can't move, can't do anything. So I explained everything to her. I adjust her, and she's like, Casey, my low back hurts, my mid back hurts, but my neck doesn't hurt. I don't want my neck adjusted. I said, well, you're not going to get better without me checking your neck. So I adjusted her thoracic spine, her low back, and when I checked her right leg, I would grab it by the heel and I tried to bend her knee. It wouldn't bend. And so what everybody that knows even a little bit, even just what you learned in like high school science class, that nerves run to your feet, right? They thought it comes from your low back. It's going to work. So I adjust her. I was like, no change. I roll her over, check her, rock her atlas, count to about 10, walk down and grab her by the foot again, right foot. And I bend her knee and set it back down. And I'm pretty good with being an ornery pain in the ass sometimes to people, not like in a bad way, but make them laugh. And I said, we're going to get you away from this stupid walker. I'll see you again this week. So she was driving an hour. She drove an hour about 6 weeks into this twice a week, 2 to 3 times a week getting care. She walked in and there was no walker and there was no cane. she had a little bit of a slight limp, but she wasn't unsteady. She wasn't anything. And from that first visit on, the biggest thing I did was I always focused on her atlas. And I hadn't even met Steve Judson and been to DE yet when I started this. The only person I talked to about the principles of chiropractic was Andy Harding. And then 6 months after she walks in my door without the walker and the cane, did I go to my first DE and realize that the atlas was the most important thing. Sad thing of it is, she was driving an hour from our hometown, and then it became too much of a burden to drive. And I still get your ass up here to the office. I'll drive down there when I can. But, she's walking better. She was walking better. You can see some of the things regressing. But that was my miracle story that I saw, that I was as much belief as I have in my profession and what we do. It blew my mind to see her walk in my front door, and the walker was an hour away. The cane was an hour away, and she was walking in with her husband without using his arms. So that's my miracle story that I just love to see and love to hear. And I think about sometimes when I get down, how amazing our profession is, that we can literally move one little circular bone off of a nerve and a brainstem, and you can see somebody that has zero hope because they're on a walker at less than 40, and all of a sudden they're walking and they got their life back.
Well, it's a powerful story, Casey. I want to thank you for being my guest today in episode 438. Good closeout. So if people want to know more about you or get connected with you, what resources can we send them to?
You can send them to my website, allstarchiropractickc.com. You can also find me on Facebook at either Casey Berry or All Star Chiropractic on Facebook, or you can call the office, 816-942-6066. Don't hesitate. I'm always here.
Well, thank you for being our episode today at 438. It was a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks, buddy, for having me.
Yeah, all these stories matter. And we're creating a tapestry and documenting this beautiful profession of chiropractic, and now you're a part of that.
Awesome.
So
thanks, man.
I want to acknowledge you for jumping on with me today.
You're welcome. And I was glad I got to meet you the other day.
Yeah, it was fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm going to close out by telling everybody you're just one story away. Keep hustling. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks,
all right, brother. See ya.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.